So, Gordon Ryan versus Craig Jones, the saga continues. But now it kind of seems like Gordon Ryan versus Craig Jones, Nicky Rod, but more importantly, the Craig Jones Invitational. And I want to start off by saying, obviously, Gordon Ryan is pound for pound the best jiu-jitsu practitioner we got currently on this planet ever. He can't be matched with his resume. But when you are reading the back and forth on Instagram between him and Craig Jones, and he's talking about, all the money that Craig raised and how successful it was, and then the taxes and then the deductions, and then gives him a gigantic tax lesson. Then also it's like, oh, I'll challenge you both for $1 million. And, that would also hurt Craig Jones in the long run with his Craig Jones Invitational and, maybe put him in some financial dire straits. But that's honestly, looking at it from an outsider's perspective, what Gordon's trying to do. He's trying to play like 3D chess or something like that, because there's not a whole lot to it at the end of the day. And I think Craig Jones knows that. Now, if we wanted to see a rematch, what I really think would be a power move on Craig Jones's part is if he were to have his fans raise another $1 million just so he could throw it away to a Gordon Ryan fight if Gordon Ryan were to win that one. So that way the Craig Jones Invitational goes untouched. Because, like Gordon Ryan, John Danaher, Helena Creever, especially Helena. I've been watching her fights, and she has been taking the jiu-jitsu world by storm. And let's be very clear, that is the highest level of team in jiu-jitsu. If their jiu-jitsu was a code of Python, I'd put that in a program I was writing. Let's make it that way, because those guys just know what's up. Their technique's good, their strength's up, their conditioning's up. They train 365 days. But now Craig Jones is taking the world by storm in more of a showman way. And you know what? Craig Jones is probably like one of the best grapplers out there. So there's not a whole lot of shame in losing to the best of the best of the best, because that's where they compete. But not only was he competing at the highest level, he raised enough money to put on what I think is honestly the smartest card in BJJ history. Not only were some of those for show, like his fight with, I think Gabrielle Garcia was her name, and then you had Luke Rockhold, which people really don't really show up to watch Luke Rockhold be a serious fighter anymore. I think, honestly, the way his career's gone, he's become more of a meme now, so his name still has value, just in an odd way, which is good, because it brought eyes to it, and I'd still watch Luke Rockhold fight. I know he's not the same fighter he used to be. He used to be a very serious stud. And now he's just less of a serious stud, because he's still a tough guy. He just doesn't really have that hunger for world championships anymore, I feel. And, he's getting older, and a lot of the internet likes to give him a hard time sometimes. But seeing him on the card was definitely for, show. But then you see Rolotolo show up, yes. And then you see Mackenzie Dern get tapped out by, I don't want to butcher her name, but the same one. I got to make a video on her, too, because she tapped out Mackenzie Dern, and then she beat another grappler who's currently in the UFC in a grappling match, who's got massive judo credentials. And I'm going to actually have to make a video on that one later more in depth, because I think she would be a really in-depth prospect, the one that just tapped out Mackenzie Dern for the UFC, because not only is she out-grappling a lot of these people who are fighting in the UFC, she might even have some striking talents too. And I think, I don't even know if she's already in the UFC. Correct me if I'm wrong, people. But if she's not in the UFC already, or Bellator or something like that, get her in one of those organizations, dude. She's got some stock. But then you have, I think I already brought up Rolotolo, but I've been seeing Nicholas Murray-Agelli get tapped out by a purple belt. That purple belt's going to go places. Nicholas Murray-Agelli had such a name in the jiu-jitsu world, and then some guy comes from nowhere and out-wrestles him. Now, it was just a lot of technical fighting, a lot of showman, and just a lot of charisma. And that main entrance for Craig Jones with the rainbow pants was funny to me. You could just tell that not only from a competition standpoint was everybody pleased, but people wanted to see more of it. Craig Jones Invitational 2 or 3 or 4 somewhere in the future is definitely going to be on the books. And that's why I'm saying, Craig Jones should raise a separate $1 million just so he could put it up against Gordon Ryan. So that way you think, Gordon Ryan thinks he's won the war. But hey, guess what? Another Craig Jones Invitational is going to happen. And I think that's the thing, is Gordon Ryan has kind of had a poor reception ever since the Craig Jones Invitational happened. And it's almost like Demetrius Johnson said in that one video that went viral during his jiu-jitsu match, winning's not everything. And I think we're starting to really learn that, because I know we always tell people winning's not everything because there can only be one champion and there's a lot of chicken soup for the soul. But in a weird kind of wisdom way, there's more categories than just the best grappler. Obviously, that's the main category, but there's other categories of first place that Craig Jones and charisma, putting together a massive fight card, entertaining fans, having an awesome online presence, doing all these podcasts. He is smoking it in those categories. And, you know, you might not be the best jiu-jitsu guy, but you might be the best at something else in that realm. That's the thing. It's the one thing you could learn from Craig Jones right now. Play to your strengths, because that's what we're seeing. And you know what? You're never going to take away the prestige grappling of guys like John Danaher, of guys like Gordon Ryan, of women like Helena Creever, who are just dominant grapplers by far. But I think maybe they could take some notes, get some, how are they going to entertain the fans next? Like maybe in a different way. Because I'm going to be fair about that. Watching Helena Creever go on to ADCC and just smoke everybody, that's still entertaining. But most people aren't into combat sports like that. Most fans who watch UFC, MMA, Bellator, don't watch it for the stats or the technicalities or the honor. They watch it to see violence, So there's different audiences out there. There's different type of people out there. Not everybody who listens to a song is listening for the latest and greatest music theory. Most people who listen to music just want to hear a good beat so they could beat their heads to it. Not beat their heads literally, but bang their heads to it and stuff. That's what I'm talking about. But, I honestly think that this saga is going to continue and age in a very interesting way. And we're seeing two types of jiu-jitsu camps now. The ones who understand the bigger picture and the ones that are all about being the best, But also the thing is neither of these teams kind of fit what the Gracies had in mind for the future of jiu-jitsu when it came to America. And that's the ironic part, is no matter what, you could tell the Gracies are going to roll over in their graves. Because, when they brought the martial art to the States, do you think they actually wanted to know about the Craig Jones Invitational, or do you think they'd approve of the Craig Jones Invitational by any means? Maybe. I might have missed the fact that maybe a Gracie appeared on that card, and if they haven't yet, maybe bring them on for the next one and say, hey, you guys made this possible. Have a slice of the pie. And I think we should all share in the different types of tournaments that are coming up and the different types of shows and big stages that are happening in this, because honestly, this is fun. This is awesome, and that's all I got to say, man. I'm just mind blown, and hopefully this new beef that's starting between Gordon Ryan and the rest of the grapplers right now, it doesn't last too long, because I think they're overlooking a beautiful lesson deep down. But next stage in business for the jiu-jitsu fans, and also Craig Jones, if you want to raise $1 million to just fight Gordon Ryan anyway and then keep these Craig Jones Invitationals from being in any sort of financial trouble, that would be a good idea. Now, he's going to take that with a grain of salt if he ever sees this by the off chance, but at the end of the day, it is his choice. But I've talked enough about this. I've said enough. There's just so much, and this is such a beautiful chapter in the world of jiu-jitsu. But peace out later, and I actually have to talk about that co-main event for the Craig Jones Invitational, because I think MMA might have a hot prospect coming up that might have a better run than we've ever seen. But we'll see. Later.